So let's talk about other functions. There's the function to allow us to copy the graphic part of the window if we want to include it in a document, for example. Displaying the axes, changing the line weight of line graphics that are part of the display, the actual render properties, standard views, like if we want to look at it from a specific direction, one of the primary directions or an isometric, for example. Zoom to encompass all the objects. Basically, if we've zoomed in or out, this lets us put everything back into view. And then we can change the actual lighting and how we rotate using arrow keys and how the coordinate system display looks by using this selection. So let me go back to ASAP. So I'm going to hit this zoom key and it zooms out so that everything shows. Then I'll be in a position to show you what comes next. If I turn off the coordinates, I turn off the coordinates. I just use this button for that. This would allow me to copy the graphic or to save the graphic into a graphics file. This controls line weights. I don't think that it's going to have a significant effect right now because we don't have line graphics present. Object properties. This is where I actually change an individual object's color and whether it is smooth, transparent, or wireframe. So let's choose the parabola and then let's change it from transparent to wireframe. And I'll go back to transparent because I like the way that looks and it's useful for us right now. 3 views. To get a standard YZ right view, we do this. And notice, you can't see the target plane because it's an infinitesimal plane. If I rotate slightly, then it comes into view. YZ view, a YX front view, a YX back view. So we're looking at it from 2 different directions. Because the parabola is transparent, it's not showing up very well. So I think I will go back to wireframe. So that shows you the views, and it includes 2 isometric views. For lighting, I think I will go back to the smooth view of this. So right click, smooth shaded, or I can just select and hit the S key. Let's play with the lighting. So we have up to 3 light sources available in this virtual view. And if I turn it off, it goes dark and we only have ambient light. But there's no directional lighting. Not very interesting. But with these lights on, I get different lighting from different directions. This can be useful when you're trying to create views of a model to share in a publication or something like that, a presentation, because it allows us to highlight the surface form of objects. Let me close this for a minute and rotate. Light 1, light 2, which is actually lit from some direction that's sort of behind and to the right of the system in this case, and light 3, which is above the system. If you consider these in combination and then play with the ambient lights, it gives you some ways to kind of control the tone of things. This is more like the art of using the tool, but I spend a lot of my time trying to explain optical systems to people, and a picture is so useful in doing that. So that's the lighting. I'm just going to go back to more or less default lighting here and then talk to you about view change. So that angle for rotation increment is 15 degrees. I can change that to another number, but let's just use that for a minute and let me show you why this is useful and what we do with it. So if you happen to be on a system that doesn't have a center mouse button, if I use the actual arrow keys on the keyboard, the left arrow key will rotate by 15 degrees about the vertical axis. So 15-degree rotation. So let me rotate 3 increments, and so I have now rotated 45 degrees about the vertical. Now if I use the down arrow key, I will rotate in increments of 15 degrees around the horizontal, and I get something like isometric view by doing that. So that's just using arrow keys. The final thing is coordinate system. So for instance, we might want to do the coordinate system to set up the coordinate system display so that the axes run further. Right now, they're automatically scaled to be small relative to the total system. But if I turn off the automatic adjust, then I'm allowed to scale it. And so let's say I want to make it big enough that the z-axis runs past the target. So I'm going to make it 300 long. And I'm going to make the line thickness a little less, too. Maybe I'll make it 1. And close. So you notice it made it thinner. The z-axis now runs a little past the target because I made it longer manually. By default, it's automatic. I made it so that it is a little bit larger than the default. That's all the toolbar buttons that you typically want. So let's make parabola transparent. Let's say we want to know what the filament body is, but we have zoomed in to the point that all we can see is the edge of the parabola. Well, if I want to know what that is, I can go here, right click, and do a zoom extents on just that object. So either type the N key with it selected or right click, zoom extents, and it actually zooms so that that body is in the middle of my view and is prominently displayed. I'm going to propose a scenario for you. I'll change the outer envelope to smooth shaded so that you can't see the filament body. And again, I'm going to ask the question, where is the filament body? Show it to me. Zoom extents. It zooms in, but I don't see it because it is in the view, but occluded by this outer bulb surface. So I'm going to zoom out again and show you another tool for the job. If I right click, isolate and zoom extents, it eliminates all objects from view except the one that I am focused on. So all other objects are gone. And if I zoom out a little bit, I see that's the only object present. And I might say, okay, now I want to add back objects. Right now they're showing as hidden. I'm going to make them visible, and I'm going to keep making things visible until it starts to make sense. And we see the bulb is building in front of our eyes, smooth and solid. So maybe now I figured out I need to use the transparent setting there to be able to see what I need. So that tells you how to pick apart a system that is very complicated and to see individual parts of it in the geometry. If I want to make everything visible again, I can go to the top level, right click, make visible, and everything will be visible. And then as you learned, I can use the zoom to put everything in the window, basically to set the zoom level so that everything is visible.